Murder mystery grips Italy. When the body of an Asian woman washed up in the Italian port of Rimini over the weekend, investigators thought they'd finally moved a step closer to solving a murder. The remains were found inside a blue suitcase floating in the sea. At first glance, the woman matched the description of a 36-year-old Chinese lady who went missing from a cruise ship earlier this year. Angie Li has not been seen since February, when she disappeared from a family cruise vacation. Before her disappearance, Li was married to 45-year-old German IT consultant Daniel Belling, and they lived in Ireland with their two sons aged 6 and 4. The family boarded the 11-day cruise on February 9th at a port near Rome, bound for Malta, Greece, and Cyprus. The next day, the owner of a souvenir shop in Genoa said she saw Belling shout at Li for wearing garish sandals, then hand her a pair of sneakers. The witness said Li seemed shaken by the incident. She hasn't been seen since. Belling and the children ate alone for the rest of the trip. He even told staff not to make up the fold-out bed in their cabin, as the family were all sleeping together in one bed. The cruise ended on February 20th. Later that day, Belling was arrested at the airport in Rome when he tried to fly home with the kids. He hadn't told anyone his wife was missing. Belling told investigators he thought Li may have gone to Ireland or even back to China, claiming she'd done it before and often threatened to leave him. Li's parents say she is not in China. Belling is being held by Italian investigators, so when the body in the suitcase showed up in Rimini, the cops thought they'd got their man. But the woman was 5 inches taller than Li, had longer hair, and was much thinner. It was an Asian woman, all right, but it wasn't her. So now Italy has 2 mysteries to solve, and no one is any closer to finding out what happened to Angie Li. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Some of these stories would make Agatha Christie's toes curl.
Red Power Ranger in jail for murder. Uh-oh, looks like somebody watched too many violent cartoons. Which Power Ranger did you love? Oh, don't say red! Red Guy, or more accurately, Ricardo Medina Jr., the actor who played the Red Power Ranger in the last couple live-action films, got into some kind of dispute with his roommate Joshua Sutter over the weekend. A furious Medina retreated to his bedroom with his girlfriend, but his roommate reportedly forced his way into Medina's bedroom and kept arguing. That's when this actor, who once starred in a movie called Power Rangers Samurai, grabbed a sword he kept in his bedroom for some reason and stabbed Sutter to death. Medina called 911, waited for cops, and was booked for murder. Bail was set at $1 million, a sum he hasn't been able to pay, meaning for now he will remain behind bars.
Court releases audio of Byron Smith murders. A chilling recording of the murder of teenaged cousins Nick Brady and Haley Kiffer by Minnesota homeowner Byron Smith has been made public. Brady, 17, and Kiffer, 18, broke into Smith's home unarmed in the early morning of Thanksgiving Day, 2012. Smith had hidden his car to make it appear nobody was home. The teens had no idea he was armed and waiting for intruders from his chair in his basement, with an audio recorder set up on the bookshelf. What follows are excerpts from Smith's actual recording, which served as a key piece of evidence in his murder conviction.
You're dead. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, yeah. You're dying. Bitch. Cute. I'm sure she thought she was a real pro. I feel a little bit safer. Not totally safe. I'm still shaking a bit, but
little bit safer. I refuse to live in fear. I am not a bleeding heart liberal. I felt like I was cleaning up a mess. Not like spilled food. Not like vomit. Not even like diarrhea. The worst mess possible. In some tiny little respect. I was doing my civic duty. Because the law enforcement system couldn't handle it, and I had to do it. I had to do it. They weren't human. I don't see them as human. I see them as vermin. This bitch was going to go through her life spoiling things for other people. Thieving, robbing, drug use. It's all fun, cool, exciting, and highly profitable until somebody kills you. Like I'd give a damn who she is. I'm sorry. So much regret. I try to be a good person. I try to do what I should, be friendly to other people, help them when I can. Try to be a good citizen, not cheat people, be fair. And because I try to be a decent person, they think I'm a patsy, I'm a sucker. They think I'm there for them to take advantage of. Is that the reward for being a good person? And if I gather enough evidence, they might be prosecuted. If they're prosecuted, it might go to court. If it goes to court, they might be found guilty. If they're found guilty, they might spend 6 months, 2 years in jail. And then they're out, and they need money worse than ever, and they're filled with revenge. I cannot live a life like that. I cannot have that chewing on me for the rest of my life. I cannot. I refuse to live with that level of fear.
Till murder do us part. Husband kills wife 4 hours after wedding. The shortest marriage ever came to a violent end in the wee hours of Sunday morning when an Indiana doctor, George Scott Sampson, murdered his wife of 4 hours, Nurse Kelly Ecker. During the wedding reception, a drunk Scott Sampson declared his wife would never get her hands on his money. Then, during the after-party at the couple's house, the couple's fighting scared all the guests away at around 1:17 a.m. The last guest even asked Kelly Ecker to leave with her, but Ecker declined. Then, barely 3 minutes later, Ecker placed several frantic calls for help to 911.
911, what is the address to your emergency?
4205 North Creel.
Okay, 4205 North Creel.
Then, Sampson's father says, Scott barricaded himself in the basement with guns and ammunition. Using a remote camera, police later found Scott Sampson in the basement, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Both Sampson and Ecker leave behind children from previous relationships.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
3 Brazilians with a taste for long pig on trial after 2 years. This lovely family of 3, Jorge Silveira, his wife, and his mistress, is finally going on trial for the murder of 2 women whose bodies were found buried in the backyard of their house. However, the part of this story that'll send chills up your spine is these 3 didn't just murder their victims, they ate them too. They would bake meat pastries made with their victims' flesh, which they would give to neighbors or sell to local schools and hospitals. They told people that the pastries contained tuna or chicken. Why not pork? They lured the women to their house with the promise of work as a nanny. At the time of their arrest, there was a 5-year-old child living with them. Police suspect that she is the daughter of one of the women they murdered in 2008. It was when they tried to use the credit card of one of the murdered women that police finally zeroed in on the killers. Among items found in the house was a 50-page book written by the husband about the voices in his head, his obsession with killing women, and their family-sized cult, which believed in the reduction of the human population. Their trial only just got underway this week, but the three face up to 30 years if convicted.
4 victims of New Britain serial killer found behind shopping mall. New evidence has been uncovered in the case of the mysterious New Britain serial killer, as the partial remains of 4 new victims have been found in the same secluded area as the bodies of 3 other women that were discovered back in 2007. Police have a suspect in custody but have yet to release the name or any other details. They believe there is no longer a threat to the public because the suspect was taken into custody earlier on unrelated charges. Authorities in the Hartford, Connecticut suburb have scoured the forested area behind the strip mall looking for clues and evidence to reveal the identity of a serial killer that they believe is responsible for the murder of at least 7 women. 4 of the 7 victims have been identified using forensic evidence. The partial remains of Diane Cusack, Joyvaline Martinez, and Mary Jane Maynard were discovered by authorities in 2007. And of the 4 most recently discovered victims, only the body of Melanie Ruth Camillini has been positively identified. Since the Greater New Britain Serial Killer Task Force found the remains of the 3 women in 2007, they have searched the area every year in an effort to turn up new evidence in the case. If all of the victims were murdered by the same person, it would be the most prolific serial killer case in Connecticut since Michael Ross, also known as the Roadside Strangler, who was executed in 2005 for murdering 4 young women and admitting to 4 other homicides.